other thing. I don't know if it was like about the TARDIS interiors or
I
whatnot.
can't
Like,
remember. I can't remember now. But anyway, whatever it was,
not sure.
you
Maybe
guys
wobbly.
decided you wanted us to talk about returning companions. So I sent Harrison a thing asking him to list several companions he would like to see return to Doctor Who.
Yes.
And the first one on your list is Lady Christina de Souza. Have I said that right?
Yes. That's how you say it.
From Planet, I want to say Planet of the
And
Dead.
it
Is that it?
Yeah, it's Planet of the Dead with Tennant. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
go for it.
So yeah, I mean, I liked her. Yeah, there you go. That's it. No, I'm not. I'm only kidding.
Yeah. Sorry. Go for it.
No, sorry. I mean, so I'm aware, just because I know it's going to come up in the comments. Oh, well, actually, she already returned in the audios, which I know. Okay, hold your horses. But it'd be great to have her return on live action, because because a majority of the audience aren't aware of her return in audio, not aware. And if anything, it kind of makes her with her obviously opting to drive off. So I would like her to return. I liked her like as a character, and I believe she was able to interact like awesome. When it comes to Tennant, so it'd be really cool for her to return and perhaps interact with a other incarnation.
Have you listened to any of her Big Finish stuff? Have you listened to that?
I haven't, if I'm honest, but I have heard the reviews for it of like all great. But I have it on the list of like 800 others I need to listen to, but it's on there.
I wonder if her moment to return has gone. I think that she shouldn't have to return, because I feel like if David had done a 4th season, she would have been a great constant companion. A constant companion to the 10th Doctor.
Yeah. I prefer that actually. I do prefer that, because we've only actually opted to have her on in the era only with Tennant, like only with him. And I'm aware we've had other companions that have interacted with other incarnations of the Doctor. But yeah, I would image that. I mean, only because we've only had her and him on screen together, that we are aware they interact with each other, and they they have a connection, etc. So I would actually agree with you. I would rather have her only with Tennant actually in her own era with him, rather than perhaps just returning for an episode or a one-off. Yeah.
A 4th series story would have been cool with the two of them, because I like the idea that they could have. I feel like if they had been a partnership on the show, it would have been a more intense love dynamic than Ten and Rose. I feel like after losing Rose, the 10th Doctor would quickly have not wanted to let Christina get away. So he maybe would have confessed his love to her very early. And perhaps what I'm imagining for maybe a 4th and a 5th series,
fiction, isn't it?
Yeah, is that perhaps the two of them could have even hooked up, and then she would have been killed off. And then that would have been a good way of turning David Tennant into the Time Lord victorious version.
Wow, bloody hell.
So you would have brought it back to what we saw at the end of time, but it would have been
okay.
You know what I mean? It would have been set up differently.
Right, blimey. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, if anything, I'm trying to think of other areas we can include her in. In the Capaldi era, I forget the name of the episode. But the heist one.
Time. It's time heist.
Yeah, time heist. That would have been awesome with her, because it's like her as a companion is kind of like a set of thing. So
yeah,
maybe.
Okay, the next one, you've got another one on your list, but I'm going to come back to it. So I'm going to skip one and go to
Ace. Hold it to last.
Yeah, is Ace played by Sophie Aldrin, who I would love to see return. And I think me and Harry spoke about it. One reason I would love to see Ace return is because obviously Sarah Jane can't return. Elizabeth Sladen has passed away, and they subsequently in the last 12 months they killed the character off as well in that really great audio adventure on the Doctor YouTube channel. And at the end of that, it's revealed that K9 goes to live with Ace. So I think if they were to bring Ace back, that would have been a really cool way of acknowledging Sarah no longer being around, and maybe just have some essence of her back in the show, and also to have Ace there as well with K9. That would be great.
Yeah, so I was just on about how you kind of managed to hit the hammer on the head there, where I agree with you. After she managed to pass on, they haven't almost held up her in the show, or the continuity. So it'd be really great to like have them return, and like Ace as well as a companion I love. Like I would argue that I actually prefer Ace over like a majority of the companions we actually have in New Who's, because I believe that Ace was almost in a way able to create the companions in New Who, where like the companions have an arc, and you know, and that happened right at the end of the classic era. So I would I would go absolutely like just out of my head if Ace returned. It would just honestly have to be incredible. And like Ace has got an edge to her as well.
Yeah.
You know, like Ace is like, you know, she's not just kind of like the average like a companion, like, you know, oh no, like I'm in a like, oh no, it's an alien, like I'm in a corridor, I'm trapped. Like, you know, like there was an episode I think in classic era where like Ace was like able to hit like I don't know if she had a hammer or something, but she was like opting to go at it on like, was it
She has a
Dalek
baseball
one?
bat. Yeah, baseball bat, doesn't
Yeah.
she? She destroys the Dalek in.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's about time that the show harkened back to classic Who. It's been a long time since anyone from the previous incarnation of the shows returned. Like Sarah returned. The Doctor phones up the Brigadier to find out he's passed away.
Yes.
The Fourth Doctor sort of returns, but to actually have an episode,
kind of.
an episode where something actually happens to do with classic Who would be great.
I would like that a lot. I would argue at the moment in Doctor Who, we are kind of like returning to classic, but it's not classic Who. It's more the classic of the new Who.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. We should do a video on that. That'd be interesting. Okay, next up you have what is, I'm going to say it, my favourite companion in New Who, Wilfred. I loved Bernard Cribbins as Wilfred. He's amazing. He was at a convention not that long ago, over a year ago now. Oh, no, it's actually nearly 3 years ago that I was at. And I was like, oh, should I go and meet him? But I just didn't have time. But Wilf was an amazing character. I loved Wilf so much because he was like, the relationship he had with David's Doctor was very father-son-esque, but not like batting heads father-son-esque, almost like really impressed dad of a son. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly, mate, I hear you on that. Yeah, like he was great, and it's like it is like in terms when it comes to New Who, I would hold him kind of higher than a couple companions that have had like a long time. I would hold him higher than Clara, and obviously, if you compare the time that each of them had, he only had what, like he was like in the End of Time, and then he was what in the Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
No,
he wasn't in the Runaway Bride. He was in the Voyage of the Dawn.
That was it. Sorry, yeah. That was it. But yeah, it's just like it's crazy. Like he is a character. Like he is incredible, and I love him. You know, and like and he's, you know, he, if anything, he's had a huge like as part to play in the life of the Doctor. You know, like in, you know, obviously he was the cause, obviously, in like for Tennant to change. And obviously I don't blame him because it's him. So I mean, I would have changed to him. You know, of course, I would have easily have opted out my life for him. But yeah, I completely agree. I love this man. I want him.
Yeah.
I just want him back.
And the next one on your list as well, I definitely want to see back. I think me and Harry talked about this briefly. Is Susan, played by Caroline Ford. Now, I feel, right, this is just the way I'm looking at it.
I hear you out.
I would love Susan to return, but I feel like the perfect time for her to have returned was with Peter Capaldi. That would have been amazing to see the two of those together.
Ooh. No, I hear you. I actually hear you out.
But now that I'm just trying to be careful how I word this. Now that the Doctor is played by Jodie, and I feel that bringing Susan back and it not being her grandfather, but it being her grandmother, would be too much of a episode discussion. I feel it would take up too much of the episode and possibly take away from a granddaughter grandfather love. Not to say that she wouldn't love Jodie as much as she loved the Jodie's incarnation as much as she loved Hartnell's incarnation, because they're family. But I feel if you really want to play with it super well and pull at people's heartstrings and make a really great story with it, the dynamic should be grandfather, granddaughter, not granddaughter, grandmother. But that's not to say it couldn't work. That's just my view on it, and that's not me saying.
No, true.
That's not me saying a woman shouldn't be the Doctor and Jodie Whittaker should leave. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying if they're going to do this particular story, maybe hold off a few years or big finish it with Peter Capaldi in 5 years.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, if I'm honest, I would agree because it's always kind of been like, in the history and all that, like she's always opted to call him that, like, like it's my grandfather, like, hey, grandfather, So yes, obviously, I mean, I'm aware it would obviously have the chance to work with her, but it would like. I agree with your point where, like, if this came on, like, on telly, on the screen in an episode, a majority of the community would be in the comments that, oh, wow, like, it's a bit odd, this.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it would be great for it to happen because I honestly believe that it was already going to happen, like, who's the timeless child? Like, I instantly believe that, oh, my God, it's going to be Susan. Susan's coming back.
That would be cool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if anything, like, after what's happened, when it comes, like, in the history, at the moment, when it comes to what's, like, hundreds of incarnations that we have now, of the character of the Doctor, I mean, who knows if there's other of who he's related to, his granddaughter, perhaps there's other incarnations out there of Susan. I don't know.
Perhaps. Now, the last one on your list, well, it's not the last one, it's the second one,
yes,
because I thought it was interesting to talk about, isn't even from Doctor Who. Clyde and Rani from the Sarah Jane Adventures. So 2 questions. 1, why? Second question, why no Luke? Why no Luke Smith?
Okay, interesting. All right, no, okay, I hear you. Right, so out of everyone we've talked about at the moment on this list, I would absolutely have, like, Clyde and Rani as my highest. I really want these characters to return, and so here's why. Just because if anyone has ever had the chance to watch any episode of Sarah Jane Adventures, like, all these characters are just amazing. Like, I love Clyde Langer. He is, like, one of the most underrated companions in all of canon of Doctor Who. I mean, and he's relatable because, he's like, I mean, he's why I care about him a lot. And Rani as well. Like, as a kid, when you're growing up and you're having to watch Sarah Jane Adventures and you're going, I want to be Clyde. I want to be Rani. Like, I want to be out with them and their humor and how they interact with the aliens, etc. And just how they're just like, it's not as if they're only opting to go, like, on the journey just because, like, they want to encounter aliens and that. It's because they have kind hearts and they're just awesome characters. And as well, I want to see your other question there also as well. He was in all the episodes, like, only for Luke. Like, I mean, he's great, but I would just argue that because he's I forget what actually happened to him, but I know he's like, he's really smart. He's kind of over. Yeah, he's at uni, but obviously he's very intelligent, perhaps a bit over intelligent. So hence why I'd be a bit hesitant to have him perhaps interact with the Doctor, just because they're kind of on an equal. And I always, here's my opinion. I always kind of like opt to have like the companions on as intelligent as the Doctor. Hence why the character is like always in control of the situation. But that's the take I've got on it.
No, I agree. I think that's interesting. It's not what I've seen online, but I do think, like I said, with Ace, is that there should definitely be a return or some sort of reference, or just mention that Sarah Jane Adventures universe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I've got any that haven't been said. I really like Wilfred. I like Ace. Okay, I'll throw a few at you. See what you say. I'll just throw a few. What do you think of Amy returning? Also, sit back because you're so loud. There we go.
Sorry. In terms of Amy returning, I would. I don't know. I'm actually a bit half and half in it.
She doesn't know that the Doctor can regenerate.
That is a really good point, to be fair. It'd be interesting, but also I would out of everyone we've talked about, I would rather have any like of the them, if I'm honest. Only just because Amy's kind of like had her ear on the show. All these other companions are kind of.
I feel like she overstayed her welcome as well, slightly. And also with Clara.
Yeah, like I would agree, but I like Amy as a character, and if it happened, obviously I'd be like, oh my god, Amy's back.
It would be cool to maybe bring Amy back into the show, and she spends an episode with the Doctor, but she doesn't know it's the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker never says that. She never, because obviously she doesn't know the Doctor can regenerate. She doesn't know, as far as she's aware, it always looks like Matt Smith. But there's, she must know the Doctor can regenerate. Does she never see like a picture of like Hartnell or Tennant or anything like that?
No way. I don't know if it
the
happened
11th
in
hour.
One, like...
When like that big eye is projecting all different versions of the Doctor.
Oh yeah.
And then Matt Smith walks through at the end. But maybe she doesn't know what that was because it was so early on. I don't know.
Also, I might just say to add to your point, would you only have Amy return or Amy and Rory?
I don't really care.
What's wrong with Rory?
And I like Rory, but I don't really care if he's there or not. It's not going to make that much of a difference to me.